Hey everyone, this is Daniel with fitnessblender.com, and today we're going to be going through a really intensive core routine. So it's going to be a half an hour of just straight abs. So we need a little bit of a warm-up first, so let's go ahead and get that started. We're going to be doing each one of these for just 30 seconds apiece, starting off with just a really slow torso twist. So nice and slow, rotate to the left as far as you can, then rotate back to the right, keeping your torso straight up and down, just rotating back and forth. As you rotate, you want to make sure you push your hips in the opposite direction you're trying to pull your shoulders. So if you're rotating your shoulders to the right, you want to kick your hips to the left, and then vice versa to the other side. Just nice, slow motions. Trying to slowly warm up that torso. We're moving into torso rotations next. It's going to be a little bit larger motion. And switch it, so it's going to be a nice big swoop down, up to the center, pause, and then back around to that start position and back. So nice, slow, full rotation. Trying to get a little bit of a twist to those shoulders as well as getting a flexion through that back and those abs. So a little bit of a lean back at the top, crunch forward, round that back at the bottom. We're doing a warrior lunge next. So off to one side, up, lunge down, stretch it back, and switch sides. Up, down, back up, stretch it back, stretch out those abs, and twist it back around. Check it one more on each side. And we're switching off to that next one. There's going to be a side lean, so cross one leg over top. For a little bit of extra balance, you might need to lean up against a wall. You're just going to twist or lean off to the side, kick your hips off to the side. You should feel this through that oblique on the outside, away from the direction you're leaning. Hold it for a little bit longer. Go ahead and switch sides. And let that relax. We're going to be doing a toe touch with a lean back. So nice and slow, stretch down towards those toes, round those shoulders as much as you can. Then come back up to the top. Lean back, shoulders back, stretch out those abdominal muscles. Only go back as far as you can go, as is comfortable for you. Then right back down again. And back up. Let that relax. We're going to move into a boxer shuffle. We're going to start bringing that heart rate up a little bit higher. Just get those feet moving. Get those lungs nice and open. Like I said, trying to get that heart rate up a little bit, trying to get that core temperature up a little bit more. Again, keep those lungs open. Don't hold your breath. We're moving into a toe touch kick here in just a second. We're splitting half and half, left side, right side. And switch it. So regular toe touch kick, out and back. So this is less a kick motion and more a leg raise. So nice, slow, controlled motion, reaching down towards that toe. And switch sides. Try to hold that balance as best you can. Move slower if you need more balance. All right, move on to a standing side crunch. Those hands up behind your head. Knee comes down to the side, and then same thing off to the other side. Just alternate back and forth. So get a good stretch with it. It's nice and slow, back and forth. Going into a regular jumping jack next. Just a nice full range of motion. Just whatever pace you want to go at to warm yourself up. As you warm up, start trying to speed up a little bit more. Contract more of those muscles, so those shoulders should be nice and tight. Those legs should be nice and tight. Again, keeping those lungs open. Moving on to a front jack for our next one. So same motion with those legs, but those arms are coming up in front. Again, shoulders should be nice and rigid. Legs nice and rigid. This is our last one. And let it relax. All right, grab a mat, drop that down on the ground. Otherwise, if you have a nice soft place to lay, like on soft carpet or something like that, you should be fine. Let's go ahead and get started with that abs routine. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started with our abs routine here. We have actually 5 different groups to go through. There are 2 exercises each. We're doing an A-B pattern. We're going to do 3 first, give you a little bit of a break, and then do the last 2 with our cool down. So how we're going to be doing this is 50 seconds on and 10 seconds off per exercise, and we're going to do, like I said, an A-B. So each exercise we're going to be doing twice before we move to that next group. So let's go ahead and get started. Our first exercise is going to be a traditional crunch, nice and easy. So go ahead and lay down flat on your back. Hands back behind your head. Keep those elbows outside of your field of vision. Crunch it up as high as it's comfortable. Pulling that belly button in nice and tight. Then slowly drop it back down. A little bit of a hover, but don't completely relax. Right back up again. So this is a nice, slow, controlled motion. You're not worrying about trying to get a ton of range of motion out of this. You're just trying to go as far as you can control, as far as it's comfortable for you. You're not worrying about speed, how many you can get done in this time frame. Talking about the quality of these. So trying to get a really, really nice tight squeeze with each one, but not letting those abdominal muscles completely relax. Just keep going. Nice, slow, controlled motion. Keep those lungs open. We're going to be moving to a backbone next. And switch it. You got 10 seconds to switch over. Should be nice and easy, plenty of time. Flat on your stomach. Arms out for full extension for the harder version. Slowly squeeze it up. Back down, a little bit of a hover. Right back up again. Keep everything extended out nice and far. If it gets too hard for you, bring those hands back behind your head, or you can tuck them in really nice and close to those shoulders. Otherwise, full extension for the hardest version. And again, if you want to make this even harder, grab a dumbbell, hold it between those hands. You don't need much, especially if you're at a full extension. Keep those lungs open. Exhale on the way up. Inhale on the way down. Legs extended out nice and tight. Almost done. And let it relax. Go and switch it back over, doing another round of those crunches. On your back, hands behind your head. Belly button pulled in. Start up, crunch up. Nice and slow back down. Keep a little bit of a hover. Keep those abdominal muscles contracted. Just keep it going. Tight squeeze. Again, like I said, belly button pulled down towards your spine to train those abdominal muscles to pull in, to stay contracted in rather than contract out. So you want to try to make sure that those muscles do most of the work for you to keep a flat stomach, as opposed to having to constantly try to remember to pull your stomach in. So if you train your stomach to pull in now while you're doing these exercises, it'll kind of naturally do it on its own. And let that relax. You got one more round of that back bow, so go and flip it back over onto your stomach. Arms extended out nice and straight, legs out straight. And arch it up. A little bit of a hover, right back up again. This one especially can really use an extra nice cushy mat. This is not going to be comfortable to do on a yoga mat. You want something a little bit thicker than that. If you have to double up a yoga mat or triple up a yoga mat to get that extra cushion, then do that. Otherwise, invest in a little bit thicker mat. Yoga mats are just for yoga. Remember, arms extended out nice and straight. Legs extended out nice and straight, just arching everything up as high as you can, each repetition, while still maintaining a little bit of a hover. Let that one relax. You're going to turn you over on to your left side, doing a left crunch, or left side crunch, so hand behind your head, other hand wrapped across your stomach, and crunch up to your side as much as you can, pulling that shoulder down to your hip. Back down, a little bit of a drop, but keep a hover. Then right back up again, nice tight squeeze. So you're not going to feel like you have much range of motion here. That's perfectly fine. That's normal. You're just trying to get as much range of motion out of it as you can. Just nice and slow. Tight, tight squeeze at the top. You're not trying to throw yourself up there. You're trying to bring it up and hold it. If you need to get a little extra range of motion out of it, or if you want to get a little extra range of motion out of it, you can use that elbow to pull yourself up a little bit tighter, but bring that elbow up and drop back nice and slow. You only want to assist yourself with getting a little bit more range of motion, not through the whole motion. All right, same thing on the other side. Flip it over. Knees tucked up. Bottom arms wrapped around your stomach. Other hands up by your head. Crunch up nice and high. Shoulder to hip. Tight squeeze. Keep those abdominal muscles, or sorry, those oblique muscles contracted as you're doing this. Don't let them release. And those abdominal muscles and lower back muscles should be slightly contracted as well, even though they're not doing much. They're not really helping with the motion. They should just be contracted for support. Just keep those lungs open. Tight squeeze. Again, if you want to make it harder, grab a dumbbell, hold it above your head, or go to a full extension on that arm, just focusing on the motion, bring that shoulder to hip, and not trying to just go up in the air. All right, there's one on each side, which means we have one more on each side. So back over again, onto the left, hand behind your head, other one tucked by your stomach, crunch it up. And again, like I said, if you want to make it more difficult, grab a dumbbell, hold it above your head, or go to a full extension with that arm. Add just a little extra weight. Remember again, don't push down into that mat with that elbow unless you're trying to get just a little bit of extra range of motion at the top. That elbow should not be touching at all for the rest of that range of motion. Again, like I said, you're not going to feel like you have a ton of range of motion here. Just keep squeezing it as tight as you can. You should feel it right across the top. And go ahead and switch it. We got one more on the other side. And start up. Again, keep those lungs open. Should never be holding your breath. Make those core muscles have to work the entire time, no matter what exercises you're doing. If you don't hold your breath, if you keep your lungs open all the time, it forces your core muscles and your diaphragm to have to work so much harder. Actually gets you a little extra calorie burn as well as a little extra tone out of that midsection. Not to mention being able to train yourself to be able to do breathe while you're doing pretty much anything, which comes in handy. Just keep it going. All right, let it relax. We're going to be laying on your back again. We're going to be doing a flutter kick cross, or a flutter cross with a toe touch. So arms out, extended out, one leg up, across, and switch. So you're rotating up across, opposite hand to foot, so left hand to right foot, right hand to left foot. Keep moving back and forth. If it starts getting too tired or too hard for you, start getting too tired, you can always bend that knee. Do a half motion, but still reaching up like you would be for a toe. So get those abs burning nice and hot. Whew. Whew, okay, flip it over onto your stomach. We're doing a plank reach next. So double up on those abs. So either off those knees or off of those toes. You're gonna go for a full extension with an arm and a leg, and switch over the other side, arm and a leg, and switch it back. Try to keep those hips parallel to the ground. They're gonna try to kick on you when you lift that leg. Nice slow motion, alternating back and forth. Again, keep those lungs open. If you want the easier version, just off those knees, but still trying to keep a straight line from shoulder to knee. So you don't want to be sitting back here. And let that relax. Back over onto your back. Got one more of each of these. This is gonna hurt. Hands up above your head. Crunch it up. Same thing on the other side. Again, if you want to make it a little easier, bend that knee. Or for a really big break, you drop one foot, let it completely touch the ground, and alternate that way. Otherwise, keep those legs hovering, crunching up towards those toes. Easier version again. Or again, you can always bend those knees. Keep them going. We're only almost done. And let that relax. Switch it back over onto your stomach. Got another round of those plank reaches. So again, either on those knees or those toes. Full extension if you want. Arm and leg out. Switch sides. Take your time with it. Move slowly. The slower you move, the easier it's going to be for balance. Try to keep those shoulders and hips parallel to the ground. Make those abdominal muscles have to really work. Those obliques, that lower back, pretty much absolutely every muscle through that core, as well as a lot of other muscles through your body. Whew, and let that relax. All right, that was the end of our first group. We're gonna give you a little bit of a water break here, so grab a drink of water. When we come back, we'll finish off 2 more rounds of abs, and then you're cool down. See you in just a second. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and jump right back into that ab routine. Get back down on your mat. Let's go ahead and get it started. Me starting over with a side hip raise. So up on your left side again, this time off those knees. Bring that hip up really nice and high, drop down, a little bit of a hover, right back up again. For the harder version, those feet are stacked. It's a nice slow drop, squeeze it up. You're trying to pull that bottom shoulder down towards that bottom hip. So you're trying to push that hip and that waist up as high as you can with each repetition. That hand can be either on that hip or behind that head, whichever is more comfortable. Just keep it going. Lungs open again, don't hold that breath. Five more seconds. Let it relax and switch sides. Same thing on the other side. Knees stacked for the easier version. Slowly, just bring those hips up. Nice and slow back down, a little bit of a hover. Again, trying to pull that bottom shoulder down towards that hip. Harder version is feet stacked. Try to really press that hip and waist up as high as you can while pulling that shoulder back down towards that hip. So you want to feel like you're actually pulling your shoulder down underneath your body, but keeping those shoulders stacked one on top of each other. Don't lean forward or don't rotate those shoulders. Just keep it going. Nice, slow, controlled motion. Almost done. And let it relax. All right, same thing on each side. We got one more on each side. Hand up on top of that hip or behind that head again. Start him up. Squeeze that hip up nice and high. Back down, a little bit of a hover. The hardest version you can. Again, if you want to make this harder, you can always grab a dumbbell, hold it on that waist. Make that hip have to lift a little extra weight, just whatever you can handle, as long as you have a nice big full range of motion. If you're starting to limit your range of motion because of the amount of weight you're lifting, you're doing yourself a disservice. Range of motion is always more important than overall weight you're lifting. Just keep it going, 10 more seconds. And switch sides, one more on the other side. You'll probably notice that not only are your obliques, the one on the bottom side, giving out, but that shoulder is going to start getting tired as well. And that's perfectly normal. Just keep pushing through it. It's just another muscle that has to get stronger to do this motion. Remember, feet stacked is harder. Off those knees is easier. If you want it really hard, grab a weight, press it up on your hip. Keep everything nice and tight to that body. Keep those lungs open, no holding your breath. Under 10 seconds left. And let that one relax. Whew. All right, lay flat down on your back. Our next one is windshield wipers. So legs straight up in the air, knees bent for the easier version. You're just going to drop off to the side as far as you can go, as far as it's comfortable, as far as you can control. Then same thing off to the other side and back up. You want that knee to stay right above that hip joint. Harder version, it's a full extension off those legs. Nice, slow, controlled motion. Back and forth, arms out flat against the ground. The key is to keep your shoulders plastered against that mat. If you feel yourself starting to roll, all you're doing is locking your core up and using weight to lift or using body leverage. So you want to make sure you keep those shoulders down, and then you get the maximum range of motion, maximum level of effort. Let that relax. Go and sit up a little bit more. Feet kicked out in front of you just a little bit. Nice flat back, hands out in front of your chest. Lean back as far as is comfortable and rotate left to right. Getting those obliques again, abdominal muscles as well. Should feel it in your hip flexors and quadriceps as a secondary. It's nice and slow, rotating back and forth. You want that back perfectly flat. Don't let yourself start rounding forward. You want to always keep that back flat. Just keep it going. About 20 seconds left. Ooh, man, that burns. Just keep pushing through it. Get to that happy place. Focus on that form. Focus on that breathing. And let it relax. All right, back to the windshield wipers. Flat on your back. Arms out, legs up. Start them up. Like I said, hardest version is going to be with those legs extended out straight. Easier version, you can bend those knees off. If you have a lot of inner thigh strength, then you can pinch a dumbbell between your feet suggest starting with like a 1 or 2 pound dumbbell. You don't need much. Again, watch those shoulders, keep them pinned to the ground. I know I'm starting to let mine slide a little bit. Just try to push them back. Really tire out those core muscles, those abdominal muscles, those obliques, that lower back. Just keep them going. All right, one more round of that Russian twist. All right, flatten that back. Arms out in front. Rotate left to right. Lean back as far as you can control. The further you lean back, the harder it's going to get. And again, grab a dumbbell if you want to make it harder. Whew, man. My hip flexors are the ones giving out on me today. Those abs still have a little bit left, but those hip flexors are right through the front of that hip, the front of that quadricep. They're all getting really tired, starting to burn. Woo. Just like I'm doing, if you need to give it a break, drop off for just a second, go right back into it. You only need a split second to let those muscles release. Woo. All right. That is our last exercise. That means we are moving into our stretch cool down. So our first one is going to be just a toe touch rotation. So you're going to get those feet out in front of you. Nice full extension. You're going to reach down towards those feet with every single one. So you're going to rotate down towards that toe, back up. Just try to get a rotation as well as a stretch. One more on each side. And come back up straight. Bring those feet in together nice and close as is comfortable. You're going to get your back up really nice and straight, hands above your head, and you're going to stretch off to one side, trying to get that oblique to stretch a little bit. So if you need to, grab down with the other hand so you're not having to support your entire upper body weight. Otherwise, just lean off and make those obliques have to work a little bit harder. Same thing on the other side. Switch it over. And let that relax. You're going back straight up and down. We're going to do a butterfly. So those feet should be pretty much in the same spot they are right now. Pull them in a little bit closer if you can or if you want to. You're going to try to pull those legs down towards the ground. So just pull those, using the muscles to the outside of your thigh, pull those legs down. Should feel a stretch to the inside of that thigh. Trying to make that back nice and flat. And let that relax. You're going to kick one leg out straight. Your other leg is going to go over top. And you're going to turn towards that leg you have bent. So you're going to twist towards that leg, hand back behind you for support, other elbow up on that knee. If you need a little extra oomph for that twist, you can push into it. Otherwise, just use your muscles through your abdominals and your core to rotate those shoulders as far as you can. Just breathe normally. And switch sides. Same thing on the other side. Cross that other leg over top. Elbow into that knee. Hand back behind you for support. And rotate. Keep those lungs open, just breathing normally. And slowly come back to the center. We're going to come up into a downward dog. So, feet shoulder width apart, hands shoulder width apart. Come up. Press that head down in between those arms, trying to get a nice straight line from ankle to hip. Start with those knees bent slightly until you get that chest where it needs to be. And then nice and slow, straighten those legs out until you're pretty much making a triangle off the ground. Flex up on those toes as you need to take the stretch off of those calves and hamstrings, and then nice and slow, let them relax back down as much as you can. And we're going to go down into a cobra next, so go ahead and drop down. Hands down by the base of your rib cage. Slowly press up, arch that back. Only go to a full extension, or as close to a full extension as you can that is comfortable. Then nice and slow, push into it just a little bit more as you can. Slowly back down. And sit back into those heels. Hands out in front of you at first. Child's pose. Nice and slow, walk those hands in next to those knees. Then arch that back, go into that shell stretch. Just one more, go ahead and roll it over onto your back. Arms and legs out straight. You're going to press those hands and feet in opposite directions. So press those hands out and those feet in the opposite direction. Arch that back up nice and high. Deep breath in. Kind of wiggle it back and forth. And exhale. Let it relax for just a second. Do that a couple more times. Inhale. Stretch them out. Arch that back. Hold it. Wiggle a little bit. And let it relax. All right, one more time. Deep breath in. Hands and feet in opposite directions. Arch that back up nice and high. Wiggle those feet back and forth. And let it relax. All right. That is our last stretch, which means this workout is complete. Good job, guys. If you've got any energy left in you, you can always go back in and do another workout. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time.